time once again for another thrilling episode of Markout Radio. For the next hour, sit back, pull the stick out of your ass, and enjoy. Be warned though, smarks and internet know-it-alls will be offended, annoyed, and generally pissed off at what's about to happen to your ear holes. You've been warned. Now, Markout Radio.
Holy shit. Welcome, one and all, to Markout Radio Goes Nitro, episode 52, The Second Coming. You don't understand that joke. Yeah, I know. I tried. I've got new shit. I've got new software to play this whole song and dance with. And in true Dark Fox fashion, I fucked it all up first round. So rather than pretending like that didn't happen, I'm going to just go ahead and own that botch. All right, this one is for September 9th, 1996, out of the Columbus Civic Center, Columbus, Georgia. Hosted by Tony Schiavone, Larry Zbyszko, Eric Bischoff, Mike Tenay, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. This is the 13th week in a row for Nitro to win as they pull a 3.7 with Raw back on the air this week, drawing a 2.4. There were 6,000 in attendance. No idea how many people actually paid to be there. This is the go home for Nitro for Brawl Brawl, so it's WCW's last chance to promote this pay-per-view. Let's see how we do, shall we? We kick off with a recap of last week's NWO craziness. Not a terrible idea, really, if you're trying to sell the promo. Excuse me, sell the pay-per-view. What the fuck? With Tony getting fatter every week, the camera is zoomed right in on his chubby little face. I don't know if that's the actual reason. Maybe there were some trolls behind he and Larry, but I mean, he has been expanding around the middle for quite a while, to the point where his suit jackets have started to look like he's wearing his daddy's suit jacket. It's a little bit embarrassing. So hopefully one of the girls starts paying attention to him so he has a reason to lose weight. Just throwing that out there. Not looking at you, Medusa. Anyways, we get started with the matches tonight. Super Calo defeated Pat Tanaka in 2 minutes 26 seconds. I gave that one a 2 out of 5. Tanaka gets heat, probably because he's dressed like a kung fu dude. Whatever works, man. I mean, the heat was palpable. Last time we saw Tanaka, he was wrestling Conan as El Gato. Smart to have a seasoned pro put Calo over, even if the ending was just a botchy, lame piece of shit ending. Super Calo, another asshole wearing skateboarding elbow pads. Welcome to WCW. Gene locker room promo after this match with Rick Steiner. He had him, Gene. He had him. I had him, Gene. I had him. I had you, Luger. Then, of course, Luger comes in and claims that he's going to beat the total package. Oh, Jesus. Congratulations. You know, Luger's promos have been getting steadily better with him taking his time and like giving a more measured cadence. But then when he goes ahead and says that he's going to beat fucking himself, Jesus Christ. Anyways, Gene tries to tie it all together before saying that Rick's not all there. No shit. NWO promo after this. Buy the shirt. That's a pretty good invitation, wasn't it? Nash, you want to weigh in on that one? I know you want to on fucking Twitter. Anyways, Glacier promoed last night on WCW Pro. He's going to make a big impact. Yeah, see, The Nasty Boys in the next match defeat the amazing French Canadians in 3 minutes 26 seconds. I gave that one a 2 out of 5. That's right. The Quebecers are quite literally picked up when WWF puts them down, renamed the amazing French Canadians because you can't trademark the Quebecers. I'm sorry. You can't just, that's like saying you can trademark the Canadians, not the EN, the AN. I mean, Jesus, fuck. Anyways, Jacques Rougeau, also known as the Mountie, Carl Ouellette, also known as PCO, are back together again with Ouellette missing one eye, which, missing / it was actually hit so hard that it lost all pigment in it and stopped working. So he's rocking the eye patch. He's still able to wrestle better than either of the Nasty Boys. So put that into perspective for you, knobs and sags. A guy with no depth perception can out-wrestle you. Jesus Christ. Anyways, the amazing French Canadians play into their current U.S. versus Canada heat in the wrestling industry lately, taking on the heel role and singing the Canadian national anthem in French, and then using the Canadian flag to nail sags at one point. But the ring gear looked a little bit more American than Canuck fare. I mean, the blue stripe up the side kind of looked like stars until it was zoomed in closer. And it's red tights, which fine, that's Canada, but you got blue, which is not. With their knee pads, with their boots, with their fucking stripe going down the middle. Anyways, I'm just being pedantic at this point. The NWO Street Team invades the arena, handing out flyers during this match. Knobs eventually grabs a hold of the Quebec flag, uses it on the back of Carl Ouellette's head. Sags gets the pin with a well-done slow-mo replay that hid the worked flag nailed to the back of the head very well. Gene in-ring promo with the Nasty Boys after this. The Nasties don't care about the NWO. They want the WCW Tag Team titles, and that's all they give a shit about. Good promo, actually, at the end of the day. Scott Norton defeats Sergeant Craig Pittman with Teddy Long in his corner in a hold versus hold submission match at 2 minutes 59 seconds. I gave that one a 3.5 out of 5. Here's the thing. It would have been nice if the announce team would have told us what the match stipulation was. I know it's WCW. I know it's Tony Schiavone, but like, come on, man. Jesus. No entrances for anybody, but the bell gets rung on Tony's live fucking mic because it was, of course, right next to him with that broad sitting next to him every week. Norton's been hitting the tanning bed since we saw him last. They're using this match to sell a return bout between Norton and Ice Train. Sure would have been nice to know about that sooner, but at least it's getting some attention on the Go Home episode of Nitro. Norton is usually stiff as fuck. And in New Japan, they call that strong style. Basically, it's idiots taking wrestling too seriously and hurting each other still. In this match, Norton actually worked Pittman easy. Ice Train comes down and throws in the towel for Pittman, who wouldn't tap out. Then he gets into the ring and gets in Norton's face. They worked the head-to-head tension well, but no one took a swing. The Pep Boys' power pin of the week was the towel getting thrown in for Norton's armbar, essentially, to, I guess, make Pittman tap out? Not really. With the white towel. Anyways. After this, you get a Gene locker room promo with Luger, Flair, and Anderson. Flair wants to know where Sting is. Luger doesn't know shit as usual. Mongo comes storming in, ranting and raving about the rats bailing from the ship. Benoit reiterates that. Anderson gets intense as usual and has pre-booked his hospital visit. I mean, I'm sure that sounded good on paper, but pre-booking your hospital visit kind of makes it seem like you're intending to lose. Recap of the DDP Eddie Prost match action after this from Clash to promote the Chavo DDP rematch at War Games, which was really clumsily thrown together, let's be perfectly honest. Juventud de Grau defeats Joe Gomez in 2 minutes 13 seconds. I gave that one 2 out of 5. Now listen, Gomez was brought in with a lot of fanfare, a lot like Glacier. And basically since he's been here, he's been jobbing his way through the roster of younger, more able, more attractive, more physically capable wrestlers. Anyways, his timing was way off, and he was performing like an absolute fucking novice. Every single point was for Juvie in this match, who did his best to put the match over with his hero con plancha. Basically, his finisher is a springboard corkscrew off the top rope. I mean, I get it. We've got to give everything a fancy fucking name in Mexico, but like, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, Hero con plancha. You could have come up with a fucking shittier name than that, I think, today. After this, we get a Gene Ramp promo with Nick Patrick, who was reffing this fucking clusterfuck. Recapping last week's DQ of Luger, Patrick threatens Gene with legal action for his pushing of fake news before it was a thing. How dare you, sir? We head into the parking lot where the NWO are putting flyers on wet cars in the rain while DiBiase talks to somebody inside the limousine. And then we get Rick Steiner versus Luger. Rick Steiner defeating Luger versus Countout in 6 minutes, 57 seconds. That one I gave 3.5 out of 5. Now listen, there's a commercial break before the entrances because nothing keeps a crowd hot like breaking for 2 minutes after the entrances get them all excited for a match. During this match, we go into hour 2 and, well, let's see. We get Eric Bischoff's mic being too loud and working. The production team has to scramble to get either Tenay or Bobby's mic to work, which you can hear them both talking over Eric's mic since it's so loud. And eventually, some of Mike Tenay's response actually gets through. And listen, the match itself was pretty decent. Nick Patrick comes down to the ring during this match to urge Luger to come outside of the parking lot. So, of course, why wouldn't Luger go? I mean, Nick Patrick only disqualified him last week. Nick Patrick's whole professionalism is being called into question. He's threatening Gene with lawsuits over the whole thing. He's allowing people to whip each other with this fucking belt. I mean, why wouldn't you just follow him? I mean, listen, if you can flex your pecs while you do it, run to the back. And guess what? He can. All right, so Luger heads to the back, where again DiBiase is going to be talking to the guy in the in the limo, really poorly. Anyways, all things considered, you would think that they would job Rick out to Luger, but they didn't. Actually, this match was actually a good old-fashioned old-school wrestling match, start to finish. Other than, of course, Luger getting called out to the parking lot. So I mean, I was about to give this match a 4 until that fucking shenanigans all happened, because it makes no sense. Why the fuck would you follow Nick Patrick out to the parking lot? I mean, he came out, said the NWO was out there. He didn't say Sting was there. He didn't say anything else. He just came out, calls Luger, let's go to the back. I mean, why wouldn't you? Anyways, the match is barely over before we go backstage to the parking lot where DiBiase is talking into the limo to what is very obviously a recording. I mean, granted, it's the 90s and maybe we aren't as savvy about like fake shit as we are these days. But I mean, it didn't sound like Sting was in the rain. It literally sounded like somebody turned on the recording in the production studio and that DiBiase was wearing maybe a headpiece or something in his right ear where he couldn't see it on camera. But anyways, Luger comes out, confronts DiBiase, who distracts him for a little bit before NWO Sting, a.k.a. Cobra, comes out of the limo and lays a beating on him. Now, here's the thing. Yes, this is Cobra as NWO Sting. And this is the first time that NWO Sting has made an appearance. And NWO Sting is going to become a thing, not just here, but also in New Japan. Now, at this point, though, it's an intentional swerve. Not just for the WCW fans, it was actually a swerve for the whole fucking industry. Nobody except the members of the NWO, Bischoff, Luger, Sting, and Cobra, knew what was happening. Nick Patrick, as much as I love to bust his balls, didn't know why he was being sent to Luger to tell him about the NWO. He was just told by Bischoff to go fucking do it. And let's be honest, he's a shitty ref, so if your boss tells you to do something, there's not really much job security there if you're being shit at your job anyways. So, of course, he's just going to go ahead and do it. Now, after NWO Sting lays a beating on Luger, the rest of the NWO gets on board. Everyone beats the shit out of Luger, leaves him lying in a heap out in the parking lot. And listen, he's not a bad Sting. He actually has a very similar body, so it's good. And the fact that he's wearing Sting's ring gear and the makeup and shit really puts over this whole thing. It really worked, by the way. Like back in 96, this really, really worked. And not only did it work on fans, it worked on wrestlers. Listen, I love. It's like a hobby. It's a fun hobby to bust Eric Bischoff's balls, but in this case, fucking hit it out of the park. Let's be perfectly honest here. Now, from this point, we get 10 minutes of NWO footage from the past while the announce team basically pouts. We go to break with, listen, the NWO promo buy the shirt again. Back from break, a bunch of the wrestlers are out in the parking lot looking for Sting and the NWO. Bischoff takes exception to Tanaka saying that the lack of leadership at WCW led to Sting's defection. Now, this is the problem with Eric. It's like a hobby. It's fun, though. He does have trouble forgetting that this is a show. When the mic is live, it is 100% kayfabe. Stay in character.
We coming for you, nigga.
Thank you. After this, Rey Mysterio Jr. defeats Billy Kidman in 1 minute 42 2.5 out of 5 for that one. Not for the title. Would have been nice for someone to say so that has a microphone in front of their fucking faces, but they were all still pouting about Sting. It was a quick match, but performed well for a job match to put Ray over leading into Fall Brawl. After this, we get Barbarian and Ming with Jimmy Hart defeating the Public Enemy in 10 minutes, 41 seconds. Well,
What?
yes, 10 minutes, 41 seconds.
What?
Listen, I just...
Fuck you, go away and die and leave us wrestling fans to our fucking enjoyment, Kevin Dunn, you motherfucker.
Kevin Dunn isn't on this show. I take your meaning. This match is an overly produced match. 10 minutes, 41 seconds. I gave it 2.5 out of 5. Again, we go to commercial break after the fucking entrances, which you all know I love. After some side-by-side picture-in-picture action as usual for a Public Enemy match, Braun the Leprechaun comes running around the ring and goes completely unmentioned by the announce team, who were completely focused on the NWO during this match. Now, again, during this match, we get a Gene locker room promo with the Horseman and Luger. Anderson calls Sting the franchise. Luger needs to give some answers, which of course he doesn't have any. Again, the Horsemen weren't in on this, and Flair was more than just a little pissed off that Eric could talk Sting into this gimmick after how much time that Rick spent specifically with Sting, bringing him up, helping him learn the business, everything else. Like, listen, Sting and Warrior came up together. And listen, they both, in my opinion anyways, both achieved similar heights of fame. Now, the fact that Sting actually had a longer career should show you that having someone take you under their wing and being amenable to that is good for your fucking career. So, at this point, Flair was pissed off at Sting in real life. And they didn't talk for like a week. Until the pay-per-view, when it was revealed backstage that there was an NWO Sting and a WCW Sting, and then all of a sudden everything was great and bygones are bygones. But anyways, tonight Flair's mad, and he's mad not just at Sting, but he's, again, the heat with him and Bischoff is kicking into high gear because Bischoff and Sullivan have basically been running the show. Flair keeps trying to take the company in a more productive direction, but of course Sullivan's playing up the whole let's make everything real bullshit, and Bischoff just loves that fucking reality TV crap, and we all know what's eventually going to happen at poor WCW. They're going to go all in on the reality shit. And anyways, Flair is not a happy fucking Flair. But in Anderson's promo about Sting being the franchise later on in the show, he does sort of throw back to Sting has been in the company for 10 years and never left or changed. And he didn't say unlike Flair, because remember, just a couple of years ago, Flair was in WWF. But Flair, to his credit, did not sell that he was annoyed by this so much as he was just too pissed off about the Sting shit. Back into this match, though, because remember, we're still in a Public Enemy and Faces of Fear match. This is the longest Public Enemy match that they ever had in WCW. But when we get back into the match, pretty much the first thing we see is Rocco making Ming deliver the pile driver safely by pulling his head out of Ming's fucking thighs right in front of the live cam, so it can look just like total dog shit right on the live camera. I guess Public Enemy's inability to wrestle breeds little confidence in the people they have to work with and their ability to wrestle, but good for everyone else that they were actually trained to and know how to wrestle. For those of you confused with this ending, it was supposed to have been Public Enemy getting themselves disqualified, but this match got so stiffy fucking Magoo real early, a new ending was barked at Nick Patrick by Jimmy Hart. The return of Ming's little thumb in the neck gimmick finisher was what actually ended this, even though it looked like it was a choke that he just wouldn't release. Post-match, Gene does an in-ring promo with the Dungeon of Doom. Apparently, Cholo Heisenberg, Mexican stereotype Conan, is apparently now a Dungeon member.
What?
Yeah. Don't worry, though. He's going to cut a shitty promo in a lame-ass shitty Cholo accent and make me right about everything I've ever said about him. Congratulations. Some big fucking idiot keeps flexing and getting trolled by the fans at ringside. Sullivan, looking a little bit like a hillbilly Flashdance cast member, cuts an incomprehensible promo, and the whole fucking train wreck closes out. There's an NWO promo after this promoting War Games and the NWO as a unit. Still a little bit rough, but coming together well. No Giant, though, which is a little bit odd. Now we're on to the main event, which is really hard to say, because John Tenta defeats Randy Savage via countout in 2 minutes, 4 seconds. I gave it 2 out of 5. Now listen, I gave it 2 out of 5 because it was actually a decent David and Goliath kind of match, all right? But that concept in Savage matches is getting just a little bit long on the tooth. Tenta is still rocking the haircut Bubba gave him months ago, which was when he was last on Nitro, well, on a pay-per-view, but still. New ring gear for Savage. The lifts in the new boots are even more pronounced than ever with the leopard print. Savage nails Tenta with a chair 3 times with no DQ, but the match ends via countout, so wrestling, right? Teddy Long runs out and tells Savage the NWO has returned to the arena, but they left their yellow paint behind, so the second limo gets tagged WCW. The announce team needs to burn 5 minutes of airtime, so Arn gets sent out to cut an intense promo, followed by, of course, the rest of the Horsemen, calling Hogan and the NWO knockoff artists of the Horsemen and Horsemen wannabes. Flair follows us up with some of his over-the-top delivery. The production team were struggling to keep his mic levels in check. Planned or not, it was a fucking great promo to sell the pay-per-view. The show fades to black on the scene from earlier in the evening with NWO Sting and the NWO laying Luger out. Overall, this was a good Nitro. I know, it's shocking that I would say that, but it was. They built a ton of heat with NWO Sting for Fall Brawl. They built the last few matches they have only been paying attention to on Saturday night and WCW Pro. My only gripe here is that they did nothing with the Giant and Savage build. This was all about the main event from the NWO camp, and there needed to be some back and forth with Savage and the Giant as well. This wasn't nearly as good as last week's show, obviously, and really should have been better to put over the pay-per-view, but Rain played havoc with their booking, and some of the come run with me to the back shit was so overused and ill-conceived that even Bischoff buried the second one that came out. I'll give this show 3.5 out of 5, and listen, that's it for Nitro. So if you don't want to have Fall Brawl 96 spoiled because you haven't watched it for some fucking unreal reason, turn on a podcast off right now and stop watching the video, all right? All right, here comes the spoilers. Do I have any music for the spoilers, producer boy?
You fucking Bucky Beaver motherfucker.
No, that's not cool. There you go. All right. Fall Brawl 96 would see the first match being DDP defeating Chavo Guerrero Jr. in a singles match in 13 minutes, 7 seconds. Ice Train with Teddy Long defeats Scott Norton via submission in 7 minutes, 8 seconds. Conan with Jimmy Hart defeats Juventud Guerrero in a singles match for the Triple A Heavyweight Championship in 13 minutes, 45 seconds. Chris Benoit defeats Chris Jericho in a singles match, 14:36. Rey Mysterio Jr. retains the title against Super Calo in 15:47. Harlem Heat with Sister Sherry and Colonel Robert Parker defeat the Nasty Boys for the WCW Tag Team Championship retention in 15 minutes, 31. The Giant defeats Randy Savage. No shit. Singles match, 7 minutes, 47 seconds. Holy shit, I want to watch that now. A Giant match that went more than 2 minutes? I just bet it's Randy Savage bumping all over the place. Just watch. All right, the main event is NWO Hollywood Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and NWO Sting with Ted DiBiase in their corner defeating Team WCW, Luger, Flair, Anderson, and the real Sting with Miss Elizabeth, and I'm guessing woman. I haven't watched it recently, but my rundown only said Miss Liz, so I'm going to assume the woman was there at some point. In the War Games match in 8 minutes, 15 seconds. Now listen, go and watch the pay-per-view, because even though you know the results, this is wrestling and kayfabe is dead. So go enjoy it. Have fun. There's no reason why you shouldn't have fun when you're watching fucking wrestling, especially wrestling from the goddamn 90s. All right?
Well, that was an abortion of a show. Should the mood take you, check out markoutradio.com and leave a comment. You can also find links there to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Stitcher channels. You can even leave a voicemail on our Skype. Just click the links and share them.